Liz Miller, VP and Principal Analyst at Constellation Research here, and I want to tell the tale of two polls. You see, I went to IBM TechXchange, and yes, lots of people questioned why I was at TechXchange, because this is where the developers go. This is where the builders go to problem solve, to learn from each other, to really work and collaborate, not just with other developers, but with IBM. But I went on Customer Experience Day. And okay, they don't call it Customer Experience Day, but I'm renaming it Customer Experience Day. Sorry, IBM, because everything I experienced on that day was really about how to develop, build, collaborate, and really rethink customer experience through technology and absolutely with AI. And that's where these polls come in, because it was interesting that really, and if you know, you went by the slide and then you walked over and you found this. Now, you're not going to be able to see the detail on this, and for that, I apologize. But the question was asked of when you're building, what do you struggle with? And if you really look at that big cluster, like that big mass of dots, it's about accuracy. It's about, am I actually getting the right results that I want? Am I getting the right training that I want? And developers, people who are building day in and day out, are exceedingly concerned that, am I actually going to get the output and the outcome that I expect when I am building and actively utilizing AI to improve both my employees' experience, my customers' experience, but my business's experience? But there was something interesting when you walked past the slide, because you also got to this poll, and it asked, okay, when you think about where you're utilizing and where you're building with AI, where do you always want to use it? Maybe where do you want to use it? And oh, heck no, I'm not using it here. Overwhelmingly, with options like security, with options around finance, solving problems, customer and employee experience by far had the most pins. But I got to tell you, customer experience also had some of the most interesting sticky notes, because it was all about how I'm not sure we're going to have enough to train this. And that chatbots, ooh, they're always bad. They're not good. The experience that both customers and employees are having simply is not meeting what we expect. So there I sat in between these two polls and a slide. And I kept thinking to myself, where do the answers come? And the great news was I didn't have to go very far, because during that final day on Customer Experience Day, the keynote gave us a lot of great inspiration, because the team at none other than Ferrari is actually leading the way with IBM. Any Formula One team has a daunting amount of data sitting in front of them. They have a daunting operations. They are dealing with some of the most technologically advanced equipment. And that's not even until when you get to the car, that blows everything out of the water. Formula One car is taking in more data than most average organizations are going to use, not just in a day, but quite frankly, in a year. These are data and technology wonders. And then after you figure out the car, after you figure out the driver, after you figure out your operations, well, then you've got to figure out the fan. You've got a fan experience like none other. You've got a fan experience that can be confusing, and it can be filled with data. And you also might not really understand what your fan is thinking, what they're looking for, what they're doing. And that's exactly the challenge that Ferrari found itself in. And Scuderia Ferrari is a legendary team. People from around the globe are watching them. but how could they connect and how could they engage? What type of fan experience could they build? Well, before really working with IBM, their primary constraint was around data. How could they get to it? How could they utilize it? How could they really personalize those experiences and have them come to life? And what they have done, not just through personalization of content, new applications that can be built, new experiences that can be shared. They have taken a fan experience as passive ingestion of content and actually personalized it, brought race day to life on a fan's phone. So as fans are tuning in and in between those stops, in between those moments when the cars are spinning down the track, Ferrari is able to engage with fans, to communicate with them, to leverage upwards of 10,000 data points per second to engage with their fans. And they're solving these problems working with folks like IBM. So, why was I at IBM TechXchange? I was there to figure out how the builders are working with us to solve problems. So, what is my message and what is my takeaway for any customer experience leader, whether you are in sales, whether you are in commerce, whether you are in marketing, or whether you are in service? Work with your builders, work with your developers. They are solving the problem too, and they have just as many doubts and just as many concerns about what's happening with AI. Where is the quality? What's happening when we try to solve these problems? But when we start to apply these tools, when we start to apply the building blocks, when we go in and intentionally leverage the data that can so often be trapped in legacy systems that we simply can't get to, but we know that if we had access to it, it's a game changer with experience. Just like Ferrari, if we could find new ways to personalize, to reach out, to engage, to have a different, to have a better experience with even just one customer, one fan, that becomes a game changer. It takes all of that doubt from those folks with those stickers in that first poll that they were going to have accuracy, that they were going to be able to train the models the way they needed to be able to make sure that the AI and the workflows and the automations were working. They need the data. They need the data that customers are giving directly. They need data that once was thought to only be operational, only be how the car runs. And they can turn that into an experience that fans love. So, surprise some folks. Maybe next year we all hang out at IBM TechXchange. Maybe we go and have different conversations with our builders, have different conversations with our developers, ask the questions, collaborate more. Maybe we also take another page from Ferrari and take customer experience to a whole new team sport where we understand that every piece of data, every piece of technology, and every piece of equipment, when it works together, it gets us across the finish line faster.